G'day and welcome to Living News, episode number 18. And we've got a great lineup for you tonight. And my co-host here, would you like to introduce yourself? Did I say who I was?
Yeah, no, you didn't. That's quite all right. This is my co-host Johnny, and I'm Corinne. For those who already know, we are looking forward. Thank you for joining us, or if you're watching us later on, thank you for watching. And we hope that the contents of today's program will really be something that will benefit you. I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah, no, it's great. We've got some good things. We've got some things that are a little bit out of the ordinary.
Is that right?
Slightly.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that. And we've got a great guest coming later on, and we'll talk about that a bit more too.
Yeah.
But we just want to remind everyone, Corinne, that when, as we're going through the night or through the episode, if you want to communicate with either us, Corinne or myself, or with our special guest that will be coming on later on, just type in either Facebook or YouTube into the commentary. We'll get that message, and then we can communicate with you. So, yeah, so don't forget that. We've got people in our team here that is not on screen, that are working behind the background, that can bring your message up onto our screen for us.
Great point. Hey.
Yeah.
You have some good news to tell us. You have some living great news to tell us.
I do have some great news.
Do you want to share with our friends?
Well, this week I became a grandfather again.
Yeah.
So really excited about that. Number 10, Corinne.
Number 10.
Number 10 grandchildren.
You're way ahead of me.
Yes, plus one. Got 10 plus 1.
How does that work out?
The plus 1 is I've got a great granddaughter as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're old.
I know. But anyway, that's the great thing about Living News. It keeps you younger.
Yeah, I can see that.
So you might be old by number, but young in spirit.
Is that right? That's why I love doing Living News.
That's what we love doing Living News.
Only joking with you, Johnny. Yeah. Yes. So.
Yep. Well,
dig in?
We can dig in. We're going to start off with our recipe for the night, and this is where a little twist is in it, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Twist. Okay. So let's have a look at what this twist is.
Welcome back to another cooking segment. Tonight I have some special guests joining us. We've got Diana here, and we've also got my son Ace. So they're going to be assisting with the food prep and just, another reason or to get the kids involved in the kitchen. So our first recipe we'll be making is baked potato twisters. Sorry, got to get that right. So you've probably seen them all at the markets. Not all of us have those special deep fries at home. And plus we want to reduce the amount of oil, saturated fats and those types of things. And we're going to demonstrate that here now. Okay, so you start off with your potato and your skewer, which you're going to insert through the middle. Just give it a bit of a tap, So it'll come out that way, and then you're going to thread it through. If you have one of these machines, they're very reasonable. You can buy it online. So what we're going to do is just get that started. Yep, done. Okay. Pop that out. And here you will just sort of clip that up the top. Hopefully the next one will look a bit better. So you just pull that down the skewer. Something different, something fun, and obviously the more times you do it, the more practice you get better at it. Just pop that on your tray. And Diana, let's give it a bit of a tap. There we go. Okay, so now I'll thread it through. So when you're turning it, just turn it towards you. Yep, go. Perfect. Keep going. Yep, all done. Just pull it off. And then here, you just bring that off there. And clip it there. And now pull it down along the stick. Nice and gently though, not too hard. If it breaks, it's fine. Perfect. Yep, excellent. Just on the tray. Now at this point, if you want to, you can use a little bit of oil to spray on it, or you can leave it out. It's entirely your preference. The oil just helps obviously with the crispiness. It's got nothing to do with the stickiness because we're using grease-proof paper. So do you guys want to use oil or no? Up to you. Yeah. Yes? Okay, so just the spray bottle and just give a little bit of a spray on each, yeah, on all of them. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yep, keep going. You don't need a lot, you only need a little bit. And the spray controls it, that one, last one. Yep. So all up, that was probably less than a tablespoon of oil, if you're, you know. So now we're gonna put a few different spices and things. So we've got some smoked paprika, we've got some onion powder, we've also got some chili powder, some parsley flakes, and we've got some nutritional yeast flakes. Yep, just sprinkle away. No rules about your sprinkling, just nice and even, as long as you get it everywhere as much as you can. And now we're going to put that in the oven for about 45 minutes. Check it at 45 minutes. And if it needs a little bit more, then just watch it every 5 minutes. That's it. We'll be back. Okay. So now our spiral potatoes are baked. We've just, you would have seen Ace and Deanna sprinkle some cheese over it. Now, using the same cheese sauce we made another night that you saw demonstrated, we're just going to get the children to drizzle it over their potato spiral and have a taste. Yep, and Deanna can do the other one. Good. Just over the potato. Brilliant stuff. So now you don't need to go to the carnival, and well, you can, but you can also, you know, make this at home with your family in the oven. You don't need a fancy deep fryer. Are you guys liking that? Mm-hmm. Is it crunchy?
Yes.
Yep. Is it tasty?
It's really well seasoned.
Well seasoned. Excellent. Well done. Okay, thanks for joining us tonight. Bye.
Well, Corinne, did you get the twist?
I do now.
Yep.
This is such a lovely recipe. I know when we go to, say, the markets, South Melbourne market or whatever, Dennis has always got his eye on these things, but you know, he needs more than one.
Yeah. And
you know, and like Ange was saying, it's you know, it's deep fried, but having this recipe and making it at home using a spiralizer, is that what it's called? And you can pick one up for under $30. Mm-hmm. And look, if Ace and Deanna can do this, honestly, I can do this. You can do this. And so healthy as well.
Yeah, look, you took the words right out of my mouth, Corinne.
Is that right?
Everything that you said, I was going to say. Because,
we think alike.
Oh, unreal.
I'm telling you.
Because I was thinking the same thing. When you go to the market, you see these, it's got these battered things, got the batter on, and it's deep fried, and you feel, oh, I'd love to have one of those, but then think, oh, I don't really want to because, you know, it's not really good for you.
Yeah.
Maybe occasionally, but, you know, what's great about this, it's pretty healthy. It's only got a little
Absolutely.
bit of spray of oil on it, not much.
Yeah.
It's cooked in the oven, and I reckon it'd work pretty good in the air fryer too.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
I'm using
I
the
reckon
air
it'd
fryer
work
a lot
well
now.
in the air fryer.
That's a
And,
great idea. I'll
Yeah,
try that.
and know the sauce that they had on there?
Yeah, that cheese sauce.
It's a vegan cheese sauce.
Yes, yes.
So full of goodness. And yeah, so that's great. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe
I did.
that Angela had for us today. And I know that I'd like to try it.
Yeah.
And
Looks easy enough, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, you just got to get one of those spiral things.
Yeah.
I
And
think you can get them online pretty cheap.
you can.
Yeah.
Also, Oliatu and Ken, thank you for the great job that they do also.
Yeah, they do.
And Ange also for making time. Ange is obviously very busy with her catering and working, and we do appreciate, you know, the time and the effort that you do.
Mhm.
And parents, if you've got kids at home, please, you know, get your kids involved in the kitchen. They are not only making something or learning how to make something, but it's something that they love. If you look
Yeah.
at Deanna and Ace, they are enjoying eating
Yeah.
that. You know, it's
And I think Lizzie made a comment about the pasta and cheese sauce. I think I saw that come through.
Did you? Okay.
And but yeah, it's the same sauce that we had a few sessions ago.
Yes, it is the same sauce.
With the pasta.
Yeah.
Like, what was it called? Mac and cheese.
Yep.
So that was the same sauce.
And we had a
mac and
taste
cheese.
of that. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that was really nice.
So if you're not sure what the sauce is or you want to ask any questions, just send us a what do you call it? Send us
Communicate.
a communicator
Message
thing,
us. Yeah.
and we'll get back to you with that. Thank you again, Ange.
Good.
And Ace and Deanna.
Well, that was our recipe for tonight. I hope you will try it out. And now we're going to go to our book review.
Oh,
And we've got a great book review, so it's really interesting. So let's hear from Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh, and this is the Living Book segment, and I'm here to share some more books for you to consider reading. This one is called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, and man, this is a fascinating read. This is a long book, but there is so much good content in this. It was challenging, it was eye-opening, and it really made me rethink some things on how I use technology and social media, and just things to consider as I'm someone who works with young people. But the subtitle of this book is How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. And his claim is that when you look at the graphs, when you look at the data, those born after 1995, we are seeing not only just a small increase, but a significant increase in those who are suffering from anxiety or depression, mental health related issues. And he makes clear links to the rise of the internet and smartphones and social media, and just the impact that this is having on young people in all countries, all across the world, not just Western countries, but all countries. It's impacting children everywhere. And there's this interesting quote. It says, "We took away childhood and replaced it with a phone." We're taking away real world experiences from our kids and just leaving them with an iPad, just leaving them with an iPhone to try and quiet them, to calm them down. And yeah, it's easy in the moment, but is this having a long-term impact? And he lays some interesting claims in this book that I find quite challenging. But not only are there challenges in this book, there are a lot of solutions on what we can do as parents, as educators, as people who work with young people. There are solutions. And so I encourage you to pick this book up, be challenged by it, have your eyes opened by it, and look at what we can do. One of the big claims that he makes in this book is that as parents in this world, we are starting to be too overprotective in the real world, not allowing our kids to have moments of adversity, allow moments of resilience to overcome challenges. We've been too overprotective, not giving them enough opportunity for that. And we've been too underprotective in the online world, allowing them to have free reign. Meaning when they come up against challenges and issues, they don't have the capacity to deal with it because they haven't built up those capabilities. And so he provides solutions in this book. He talks about the role of, although he's not a Christian and this is not a Christian book, he talks about the importance of faith communities in building resilience and strength and strong community ties, and just how important faith is in encountering some of the issues. And I just highly recommend that you pick this book up. Give it a read. Be challenged by it. And hopefully we can start to reverse some of these trends that we have seen post-1995. If you want to understand why today's young people are struggling and what we can do about it, then this is one that you really need to pick up. And so that is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt.
Well, Corinne?
Well, you know what? Can I tell you something?
Yeah, go for it.
When obviously we watched this one previously before we aired it, I was so impressed by that book that I've actually already ordered it for myself.
Wow, fantastic.
Because I am concerned,
Mm-hmm.
greatly concerned, and you know how much I love children,
Mm-hmm.
and how we feel like less and less kids are not able to have a proper childhood. Just to give you an idea, maybe I am old,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just to give you an idea, today I was walking to the shops, and there was this young girl with her grandparents. She wasn't even watching where she was going. She was on the phone, on the whatever gadget she had. And I'm like, there's so much to look at, around you. But she was oblivious. What's the word?
Oblivious.
That word.
Yeah,
Oblivious.
oblivious.
That word.
Oblivious, yeah.
Do you know? And it's just a shame when I hear things like that children are not getting to do things that, kids should do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if you are a parent, I've grown up children, but one day soon I'm going to have grandchildren. I want to be educated on how to make sure that they can still enjoy a proper childhood, and also the anxiety bit that goes with it also. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
What does it say? How the great rewiring of childhood is causing an epidemic of mental illness. Just about, a lot of people now, they will tell you they're going through something.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether it's time for us to move away a little bit from, and that's what I like with this book. It gives you solutions as well, how to move away from that, so you can have a better life and a healthier life.
Yeah, that's well said, Corinne. And you know how you have the, I don't know, if you guys have it. At my work, we have in the toilet cubicles, they have little posters every so often about health things and stuff like that, mental health or physical health or whatever. And just recently, they had one on attention. And they were saying about, mobile phones now with kids, people having mobile phones, that, because we're used to things switching over so fast, it's harder for us now to keep our attention for a long time.
Wow.
And all the distractions that we get, through the phone. So, our way of thinking has changed by using the phone so much. And also I was thinking, how so many people get injured because they're so focused on their phone and not really looking at, around the environment. And they're missing out so much of the environment, that we have with, nature, trees and flowers and, all those type of things that people are missing out on because they're so focused on their phone.
Yeah, that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyways, if you I'll let you know when I read the book.
Yeah.
Might be a while, but I'll let you know.
The Anxious Generation.
Yes.
Get hold of that book and have a read. And the sad thing too about how parents don't have time for their children now, so they just give them the phone just to keep them occupied. And which is sad. Put the phone aside and spend some more time together.
Yeah, and it will just mean that it's good for the and we're talking about kids or whatever also, but I think, to be honest, grown-ups are just as guilty.
Yes, true.
We're picking on the kids because basically they're starting out, but grown-ups are just as bad. So if you're one of those grown-ups, switch it off and enjoy nature.
Yeah. Well, Corinne, we've got a wonderful guest coming.
She is wonderful, isn't she?
Wonderful, yeah. And so we're going to introduce her when in a second.
Mm-hmm.
So we will just have our introduction now, and we'll talk to our guests.
Okay, let's do that.
Hey, welcome back. So we've got our guest here. This is Rebecca, and so welcome, Rebecca.
Thank
It's
you.
really nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you
It's
for
Really
being
excited, actually. It's an honor.
here. Oh, that's lovely. This is lovely. I already
It's
love
an
it.
honour for us.
Well, exactly. I was going to say,
Vice versa.
you know, yeah.
So, folks, we both have known Rebecca for many, many years since she was a little toddler, and but it's amazing. Rebecca has, in her career, she's gone through a couple of different paths, and maybe I'll let you say,
Yeah.
Rebecca, a little bit about your
Yeah,
where your path is.
as you mentioned, I've known you both a long time,
Mhm.
growing up together, really, and in the church and everything. And having heard a lot about the health message growing up, obviously that became an interest of mine. So I did pursue that. I went into nursing initially,
Wow.
straight out of high school, and loved it. And hats off to nurses. They're a very unique breed. I found the shift work really tough, and I got out on the wards, and I saw some dietitians flitting in on the wards, and they came in at a reasonable hour. But they got to come in nicely dressed, and they didn't get to have any bodily fluids on them. And I was thinking, who are these people, and how do I do that? Because this sounds fascinating, and I'd like to learn more. So I went back to uni. And I went and became a dietitian.
Wow.
So I graduated from Monash, it was around 2010, I think. So I've been out a little while now. Yeah.
Wow, lovely.
Yeah.
So, and that's the reason why we invited you here, Rebecca, because this show we're constantly talking about health and well-being and things like that, and that's what about living news. It's just trying to live the best we can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so when we had some discussions about your background and things like that, and we thought it'd be great to have you to come on because and you're going to share a particular area of dietitian, whatever it is, what do you call it? So do you want to share a little bit of what the focus area that you want us to share tonight?
So what I'm talking tonight is around the gut microbiome or microbiota. You hear those words get thrown around. And I think having been a dietitian now for some time, and I work in community health in rehabilitation, it is such an integral part of our overall health. Not only our physical health and managing chronic disease or preventing chronic disease, but also as we're learning around mental health as well, the impact on the gut and the mental health. So fascinating area, very new area of science, very exciting. And what is the microbiota? I guess it's one of those words that gets thrown around, and basically it refers to the bugs or which are made up of bacteria, viruses, fungi that live within our gut, and particularly in the lower part of our gut is probably where we get most, but we do get some in the upper part as well. When we eat food, we've obviously got to digest that food, and that's got to move through the GI tract, and that can have a role on the gut microbiota itself. So diet obviously plays a role in that, and therefore, my role in there is really important. But the research is looking at the microbiome is where we've got more science now looking at genomic sequencing, identifying which bugs are good and maybe which ones are not so good, and what the interplay is with them in the body. And we know that they can increase inflammation or increase risk for disease and that kind of thing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I heard recently that your gut is what they call the second brain.
Yeah. So I was definitely going to touch on that.
Yeah, okay. I hope I won't jump into.
So we do know that the gut bugs, they do produce their own what we call neurotransmitters. So the food we eat gets digested by these bugs, and then these neurotransmitters such as serotonin, which we think of as maybe the happy hormone.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of other production is happening in the gut.
Wow.
So
Did you know that?
the
Oh, you
link
knew that.
between food and mood is really, really vital. And we do have dietitians working in the mental health space now that will educate clients around eating well to manage their mental health conditions. So while we're not suggesting that medications aren't effective or anything like that, the management of diet in conjunction with your mental health practitioner, in conjunction with any medications you may require or not, becomes part of the overall management strategy. So it's really exciting and can be really effective in helping alleviate some of the symptoms that people are experiencing. Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And a few years ago, I suffered from HP Laura. And
you mentioned that.
And so the doctors, to try and fix that, they gave me a heap of antibiotics, and it was just not a normal strain of antibiotics. It was actually 2 lots of a triple strain antibiotics, and that really killed all my good bacteria. And I'm not saying don't take antibiotics and don't take advice from doctors. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
But I'm saying what you should do is make sure that you replenish that good bacteria.
Yeah. So H. pylori
with good food.
Helicobacter pylori is a bug that sits in our stomach, and it can cause increased risk of ulcers and gut issues, and so it does need to be managed, and it has been associated with increased risk for certain gastrointestinal cancers and things too. So you definitely want to treat it. If you've got this going on, you definitely want to speak to your doctor, and it needs treatment, absolutely. When it comes to antibiotics, I think sometimes people feel that they're necessary when they're not. So we've evolved, in medicine, there's germ theory came about decades and hundreds of years ago, right? And we thought, germs were bad. So if we eradicate them, this is a fantastic thing. And with the advent of antibiotics, we've been able to cure all kinds of illnesses that were previously really dangerous. So antibiotics have been an absolute godsend and a miracle, like a savior. They've been a savior. So we need them. But they don't heal everything. They don't cure common colds and viruses, for example. And we do have people that will present to GPs saying, I really need a medication, they want a pill, and they're taking antibiotics when they don't need them. In Australia, we're fairly regulated around our use of medicines, so you need to see a doctor to get your medicine, but overseas sometimes you can get them over the counter too. So
is that right?
They're not always used appropriately, and when they're not used appropriately, this can cause gut resistant bugs and things as well, so not great. But when you do wipe them out, if you do need antibiotics, you've had an infection and you do require it, how do we get back on track?
That's
we can.
What you're here for.
We have the solution, guys.
So there are what we call probiotics available now. So these are live strains of bacteria that can be taken in pill or powder form often.
Is that those drinks as well? Those Yakult drinks?
You can get them in Yakult.
Things like that.
Yeah. I wasn't going to talk about any particular brands or anything, but
no brands.
Some are more effective.
Yeah,
absolutely. So you can talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist, see if there's anything that they recommend there. Now, the supplement industry is not very well regulated, if at all. So there can be, with this advent of the science around the microbiota, people want to cash in on that a little bit, and they can create products that may or may not be effective. First of all, when you take a probiotic, it has to survive that acid bath of your gut, and so not all of them are well researched to achieve that. So they may not even make it into the lower part of your gut where they need to be useful, I suppose.
So let me ask you something, Beck. Sorry to interrupt. So you have all that knowledge, but what if it's somebody watching the show and they've been told, take this powder or whatever? How are they going to know that it's going to be the one that's not going further down?
I think speak to a reputable health practitioner, somebody that's registered or accredited, like an accredited practicing dietitian, or your GP, or somebody that and trust in that sense, and that maybe you're not just ordering online or that kind kind of thing. Just be a little
Okay.
bit careful about where you get your nutrition information or your health information from. Yeah.
So what I hear you say then, Beck, is not for you to go and self-diagnose, but rather to ask the people who have got, you
And
know.
there are some dietitians who are very well versed in this area, even more than myself. So that have looked at the studies around which strain of bacteria or will have which function that we're after. So, for instance, in irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, we do know that probiotics can be quite useful. But people have different versions of IBS. Some of those are maybe constipation specific. Some of them might be related to frequent diarrhea. And there are different bugs that will target those actions and help with that specifically. But yeah, they've usually got very long, complicated names, and it's very scientific. And talk to somebody in the know is what I would say. Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So what else can we do to help our gut health? I think one thing I mentioned to you earlier when I started studying nutrition is I thought I'm going to learn about the science. This is really exciting. And having heard the health message growing up, within the church, I thought, I wonder if how this is going to marry up. And it was interesting that the two messages were exactly the same. So the more we learn, the more we realize, actually we were designed or built in such a way that our bodies, the way they interplay with nature, it's already there. We don't really have to do anything to modify it. And the more we've moved away from that, the worse things have become. So, for example, the modern diet, it's often very highly processed. We've removed a lot of fiber. From foods now. We've added lots of salts, lots of sugar, preservatives. We want food that's going to last on the shelf for a really long time, because that's what the consumer expects. That's also what sells. So whenever we do this and we're taking food and we're processing it and removing it from its natural state, that's going to have an impact on the gut as well. So if we're having lots of sugar in our diet, not going to be so great. This can influence feeding the wrong kinds of bacteria. So everything that we put in the gut is either going to feed the good or the bad, and sometimes we can get an imbalance of the two, and this term is called dysbiosis.
All right.
So that's where you get maybe too much of the bad and not so much of the good. Also, it's worth mentioning that what constitutes a healthy gut microbiota, it's unique to each of us. It's as unique as our fingerprint. So I can't say, from Corinne to Johnny, which is going to be good for you specifically, because it's going to vary. But what we do know is that all the features are the same around if we have a nice amount of diversity there. So we don't just have one crop of bugs.
Yeah.
We've got I talk about it like the Amazon rainforest in our gut. Yeah. We want lots of diversity.
Are you talking about the plate, are you? What we should have on the plate? Or?
I was talking about the gut bugs in particular.
Right.
We don't just want one particular type of bug in our gut. We want a nice variety. So talking about the plate model, that means if we're having a nice wide variety of different foods, that's actually going to stimulate different bugs to grow and increase the diversity in our gut.
Let's. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so, when we're putting our meals together, what I often encourage people to do is to try and make sure we're getting half a plate there of plants. We want fruits and veggies, because that's where we're going to get our fiber, we're going to get our antioxidants, we're going to have all our anti-inflammatory properties there.
From the veggies,
all that colour. Whenever we're eating the rainbow and we've got all this natural colour in our diet, that's going to give us a lot of benefit. And populations around the world that eat in this manner, they do tend to live the longest and the healthiest. For example, like in the blue zones, you might have heard about. These people in these different parts of the world, they all eat differently, and they might have different backgrounds and different foods that they're eating, but the features are the same. They're eating lots of plants.
Yeah.
So in that plate, you will see that there's the inclusion of protein-containing foods as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're somebody who eats meat, that might incorporate some animal product, but it doesn't have to. And that could also mean that you're eating lots of beans, legumes, lentils, those sorts of things, and that's where you're going to get your protein.
So I don't eat meat, but I eat a lot of those.
Yeah,
legumes and things like that.
yeah. It could be tofu,
nuts.
tempeh, nuts, seeds.
Yeah.
Eating a grainy bread is still going to give you a good 3 grams of protein. You know, we often associate those animal foods as our protein source, but we forget that we get protein through a really big variety of different foods. It doesn't have to come from those. If we are choosing meats and those sorts of foods, we want to be choosing lean, we want to be choosing heart healthy cuts, we want to make sure we're sticking to about no more than the palm of our hand. Now, in Australia, we have a big problem with that.
Yeah, I've never seen one like that. It's more like that, isn't
It's
it?
usually a big
It's a big
porterhouse
one.
or a T-bone or something like that. And then that with those animal foods comes the saturated fat, which an easy way to think about saturated fat is it's typically the fat that becomes hard at room temperature or more solid. So like your coconut and your palm and your, you know, if you were to cook meat and leave the tray to sit out, you get the solid fat in the bottom of the tray. This is the kind of fat that is also associated with inflammation and poorer gut health. So, and also poorer health outcomes when it comes to heart disease and stroke and those sorts of things too. Going back to that plate model as well, there is a section there for the grains and the starches. So
maybe we can have that plate model up again.
Put that back, maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm jumping
Thanks,
around
guys.
a little bit. So yeah, you've got things like your corn, your breads, your all your cereals and those sorts of things. So that would be the part of your plate where you've got, you know, your potato or your rice or, you know, those sorts of foods, because we do want to include those. Those are a really good energy source and also a really good source of fiber. So we're wanting a good fist serve of those, small portion of protein and lots of veggies. Whatever meal you make, bulk it up with veggies. If you're making a spaghetti bolognese, chuck some legumes in there. We were talking about that
before.
Or make a vegetarian version. I do education for people with heart disease, and I often encourage them to have a vegetarian meal once a week. At least. Because when you've got the typical Aussie diet of the meat and 3 veg, to try and get away from that is a good thing, and to not have red meat more than the Heart Foundation don't recommend it more than 2 to 3 times a week anyway. So this is what I'm saying. All the things that we've learnt over the years, you know, you sort of go out and look at the science, and the message is the same, and it hasn't changed really. I think people think nutrition has to be new and exciting and innovative, and you know, we get sick of the same old message, and you jump online and you look at the Instagram influencers or, you know, the latest fad diet, and you think, oh, it's something that we didn't realize. Well, we do, but it tends to always come back to that similar
plate model, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've been speaking about probiotics.
There's
also something called prebiotics, isn't
there? So a prebiotic is a compound in food that actually feeds the gut bugs or the microbiome. So if you think about prebiotics as different fibers, for example, what is fiber? There are different kinds of fiber. We've got I've actually got some slides of those.
Some soluble
fiber,
fiber.
for example.
The third picture,
it is the
oh, look at that. I love the pictures.
And the one that's not in there that's a big feature is things like your oats as well. So when you're cooking or when you've got certain foods, you'll find that there are certain foods that form a bit of a gel-like consistency. So these fibers are soluble, they break down in water, they dissolve in water. And so like when you make your porridge and it becomes that nice gel-like consistency there, that particular fiber is really good for our cholesterol. It helps bind cholesterol and pass it through. That's a good prebiotic fiber. It feeds the good bugs in the gut and helps stimulate those good bugs to flourish, I suppose. The other type of fiber would be your insoluble fiber. which is ones that don't break down in water, they don't dissolve. And so that's things, if you think of like the skin on your apple or your potato peel or the stringy bits of celery, those sorts of things, this is what we consider roughage.
Yeah.
It sort of helps form the bulk of our stools and helps us go to the toilet a bit more easily. And people typically think of as fibre as roughage, and it's what prevents constipation, but fibre has so many more functions. And so this is a different kind of fibre and one we definitely want to get plenty of as well.
Yeah.
And then the other newer one that people often don't hear about is resistant starch. Now, again, you can get that in different food sources. And
Have you heard of that before?
we have a picture of that as well.
I think I know.
Is that? I don't know.
Yeah, where it says
That's not
4
the
times.
rich fibre one.
It says
Is that
4
the
times
fibre
of.
rich-
The 4 types of starch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the next one down, the resistant starch is actually, some of it's formed in different cooking processes. So when we've got starch that is heated and then cooled, it reforms into a resistant kind, and this is really good for our sugar levels. It helps keep our sugar levels at a nice even keel, so we're not getting spikes and crashes.
Makes us feel fuller for longer as
For
well.
longer,
Something like that,
good
yeah.
satiating. And if you think about cooked and cooled potato, rice, pasta, those sorts of things. So if you make a pasta salad or a potato salad, or you're reheating, within obviously keeping food safe and not leaving things out for too long. But that can actually be a good form of fibre to have, and that resistant starch is really good for our gut health as well.
You can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've heard that pasta and potato is more beneficial for you when it's reheated, like not when you cook it the first time and eat it,
and that's because
but you put it in the fridge, and then the next time you have it, it's actually much better for you than what it would be when you originally cooked
Never
it.
heard of that before. You're so knowledgeable.
That's the formation of the resistant starch.
Oh, wow.
So it does something called, like, it lowers the glycemic index. Now, glycemic index is just the fancy term for how quickly a carbohydrate food like potato, rice, pasta turns into sugar in the body. So our body will turn these foods into sugar and use them as a fuel source. And some foods will digest really quickly, give you a spike and a crash, like if you were to have a soft drink. But if you have a cooked and cooled potato, rice, pasta or something, it'll rise, but it'll do it at a nice even keel and be much better for people with diabetes or even those without. Much better for our sugar levels and good for gut health. The other source of resistant starch too is slightly green bananas. Really good for gut health.
And lower in sugar.
And they're more starch.
What do you do with
glucose.
that? The green bananas?
Well, just the ones that are slightly green. Yeah.
Really?
Not the really, because
that looks really green there. You don't mean that green, do you?
Well, I personally wouldn't eat it that green, but if you like it that green, go for it, because they're going to be really good for you. There's a lot of recipes where they use that.
Do they eat it like that, or they cook it?
Probably a bit of both.
They cook it.
I'm like,
green,
I couldn't imagine eating a green and
they cook it.
banana.
Well, the more ripe the banana gets, the sweeter it gets. Because that starch is broken down into its individual components and becomes more full of glucose or sugar. The sugar's easier to digest that way. So getting plenty of fibre in the diet, and all different varieties of fibre is key. One challenge that sometimes we put out to people is to try and aim, and it's something you could do with your kids, is actually have a bit of a checklist. You can download them on the internet. Aim for 30 different plants a week.
That's great.
Yeah. So, pop that on your fridge. If I'm eating, a banana on a Tuesday and a bit of apple on a Wednesday and some blueberries with some porridge, and I love to make a porridge with whole oat groats, and I cook them in the Thermomix, so it's really easy. But add some blueberries, add some chia seeds, add some flax seeds.
I'll get that 30 a day.
Chuck some walnuts on there.
A day,
and I've had some protein. I've had some really good source of fibre, multi fibres, and fruit. There's a fruit serve in there already. And my day's only just started. So I do notice the difference. I have, if I've felt a little bit, run down or whatever, and you start adding some walnuts in and things, and we know walnuts are great for our brain, good for gut health.
Yes, absolutely.
Good for gut health, good for mood, food and mood. Really good way to start. Yes.
Tell the audience here, walnuts. I discovered something about walnuts. The best way to have walnuts is you have one piece of walnut with 2 pieces of mulberries.
Oh yeah.
It's like ching and chong or whatever, they just work together.
What's the mulberries?
Mulberries are
Like a
fruit.
berry.
It's a little berry.
Yeah.
We have 2
Oh.
mulberries together with a walnut. Try it, and you'll be amazed how nice it is.
The other one I sometimes do is I tell
Learning a
people,
lot.
because I look after a lot of people with malnutrition, and I'm trying to get them to have more fiber and more protein, and just slicing up some apple with a little smear of peanut butter or nut, like almond spread or something like that. There's a source of nuts.
And also,
Yeah.
and I also understand that the better you look after the gut, and and through the fiber and all that, that it actually helps with a lot of different allergies and things like that.
Yeah, so the gut is a really big immune organ, plays a big role in our immune system. So, which is something we didn't think of before either. You look after your gut, you're going to actually have lower risk of, infectious illness as well as chronic, like your lifestyle diseases. So, things that can, impair gut health, obviously stress, poor sleep, lack of exercise.
People that drink alcohol.
Alcohol is a big one. Obviously, poor use of antibiotics and that kind of thing, and certain medications can play a role there. We do have muscular contractions going through our gut happening all the time, and this is called peristalsis, and that can be stimulated by physical activity. So if you're somebody who's sitting around a lot, you will see this in hospital when people are unwell, they're in bed, they're not moving around, they become constipated, and so get people up and moving, and that can actually really help gut health too. So
movement is good.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? All the things we know we should be doing, and it helps everything.
Yes.
If we could administer exercise in a pill, everyone would be taking it, that's for sure. But I was just thinking about I had a thought there and I've lost it. But anyway, we can come back to that.
Sorry.
Okay, well,
while you're thinking of you go, Faith.
Actually, we are seeing a rise in Australia and some developed countries of bowel cancer in younger populations too.
Yes, you mentioned that. That was quite funny.
Yeah. So people under 40 or under 45. And bowel cancer screening in Australia starts at around 45 or 50, and they're thinking of bringing it down to 45 because of this. And reasons being, we're actually not too sure 100%, but thought to be poor diet and lifestyle, too much meat, too much saturated fat, where people are drinking a lot, or they're sedentary, they're gaining weight. So, again, all of those factors as well. So, unfortunately, and again, if we implement some of these strategies, that's going to be protective.
Yeah.
So all those antioxidants that I was talking about in those plant-based foods, colourful foods, they're actually gut protective and help protect against cancer and that kind of thing as well. And so it may not be even that we're eating poor foods, it's just we're not even getting the right balance. We're eating too much meat. You go out for a pub meal, right? And you might get a big steak, you'll get half a plate of chips and then this tiny little salad in a little bowl like that, and it's like a token, and nobody eats it. They just, so it's getting that plate model and getting those portions right is so, I think that can go a long way to really helping a lot of people.
And
I like what Liz just said, that kids will tell you different, that they don't like the veggies, but if you just hide it, like she said, if you like you're mashing all the veggies and then putting in a lasagna, there's no way the kids are going to know.
They don't. So
and it will taste yummy.
I do both. So I've got 2 young children, and I'm a big believer in just keep exposing them.
Absolutely.
People will say, "Oh, I gave my child a banana and they didn't like it," and then they stop giving it to them. No, keep exposing. It's thought to be a protective trait for children. If you think, if we're out roaming and we're exposed to different foods, how do we know if that first time we encounter that food is safe for us? If we keep re-exposing them, then it becomes accepted. Or if you know that a particular food is not their favorite, serve it with a food that is their favorite. Serving it alongside what we call a safe food. I've got a fussy 5-year-old and I just keep
Reinventing the
trying
food.
to take my own advice.
Yeah, don't give up is what I hear you
Parenting
say.
is hard. Yeah.
Parenting is definitely hard. And I
Yeah.
know when our kids were young, Dennis and I would say you're allowed not to like one vegetable, okay? Because even as adult, maybe there's
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
we're not, you know, wrapped in. But the rest, like you
Give it a
said,
try.
you have to give it a try. How do you know you won't like it?
And my nearly 10-year-old said that to me recently. She's like, you know what, Mum, I try, I try everything. And when I was younger, I didn't like this particular food.
Yes.
And now that I'm older, I do. And she can identify that now, because I've
Absolutely.
always said, just give it a try. Just give it a try. If you don't like it, that's okay. But I'm glad you tried.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask before is something that we probably overlooked, maybe, is what are your thoughts on the prebiotic, like pickled cabbage,
like
and
fermented
foods
foods.
and
Yeah,
things
so
like
there's probiotics in these foods, because these foods are fermented and they've got good bugs in them. So some
we've got a picture.
actually there you go. So yeah, they are thought to be quite beneficial. It's hard to tell with ones that you're making at home and that kind of thing, because we don't always know what we're producing and what's going to survive that acid bath of the gut and what's not. But generally speaking, these are good. And any way you can get veggies in, I think is a good thing. So
That's great.
But no, great to include.
I'm just wondering whether we can have a look at the comment from Kim there. I can only see the bottom of that.
It was
if
about
we can just scroll it up a little bit.
I did see something
I've
about
been
seed
doing
mix.
seed combos.
Yeah.
For healthy fats, gut health.
Yeah.
Pumpkin and sunflower, and switch every 2 weeks with flaxseed and sesame.
Yeah, beautiful. And with flaxseed, one of the things you want to do is break the shell of it. So I've got a little mortar and pestle at home, and I'll be when I wake up in the morning, I'll sometimes crush them and then chuck them on my porridge.
Yeah, yes, we do that as well.
Too, but just do a quick blitz in a coffee blender, coffee grinder. And it just blitz it up
and then straight on.
And that's an interesting thing with flaxseed, that you shouldn't.
You don't want to expose it to the
do it ahead of time.
Don't do it ahead of time. Crush it just before you.
It oxidizes and it doesn't taste very nice.
Absolutely.
And you lose some of the beneficial the compounds there.
Absolutely.
Which are the good anti-inflammatories that we want. So
that's awesome. We really appreciate we're running out of time soon, but are there some key things that we may have missed that you want to make sure that our audience
double checking now what else I put on here?
While you're double checking, I just want to say to the audience, right? What Beck is telling us is fantastic. But like you said, Beck, we all know this. So we should really be purposeful about having a look. Maybe I know some people do meal preps because life is so busy. A lot of the young people do meal preps. A lot of young people in my family do meal preps. So that when they come back from work, they've already got the veggies or the whatever they want to do. And maybe with the fast living, the way we're living now, it might not actually be a bad idea to get yourself organized maybe on a Sunday and having that there, so that, because parents, we have a responsibility to make sure our kids eat well. Do you know what I mean? So they can do well at school, they can concentrate and all that. So you want to give them the best, not just for them, but for yourself as well. So
you want to model it. They don't, you know,
want to
it's
model
that whole thing of they're not going to listen to what you say, but they'll see what you're doing.
So
make it
true.
nice too.
Yeah.
Years ago, people got turned off veggies. We just have them boiled, sitting on the plate there. And
so much of it comes down to cooking skills.
Every
education session I run, where I suggest to a group of people, these are people that have had a heart event, and I'll say try tofu, something different. And I always get one person in every room going, ugh. I'm like, you obviously haven't tasted it properly. You haven't cooked it properly. I challenge you to try a new food.
I love tofu.
Add that variety in. There's some really great resources online so that people can go to. That was one slide that I did mention, but the Baker Institute, so the Heart and Diabetes Institute's next to the Alfred and Commercial Road there, I think. They've got resources and fact sheets. So if you go into their resources and fact sheets, look in their search engine, they've got a great one on fibre in particular, and the plate model was actually taken from them. Dietitian Connection, it is a dietitian page, but they do have really good fact sheets on gut health as well. They have a whole gut health month and really good resources there. There's a food and mood centre headed by Dr. Felice Jacker, who's a researcher from Deakin University, and she did a lot of the research looking at food and mood and the gut health in relation to mental health. Really great blog articles and things on their website as well. We've got Heart Foundation, good recipes on there that you know are going to be heart safe and heart smart, and yeah, good old sanitarium as well.
Yes.
So there, if you're looking for recipes and you're wanting to try some more veggie based options, they're a really great place to look as well.
Sanitarium health food.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the food mood.
But
That's a
we've
lot
got
of great
We've
idea.
got a question that's come up from Lynn Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Okay.
about fresh juices, fruit and vegetables?
So juicing, yeah, actually that's a good point. There's a lot of fasts and fads where you can do juicing and just have juice. Not really recommended and have shown to be quite harmful in some instances, because well, you're eliminating a lot of beneficial foods there when you're just having one solid food. Again, that's eliminating the variety. But when you juice a fruit, think about if you're having an orange juice, how many oranges would it take to have in that juice?
Yeah,
To create it. You
So
probably
it'd be
sit there and
lots
eat
of-
like
yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 oranges. So but you're not going to sit there and eat 3 or 4 oranges in one go. And you've removed all the fiber, all the beneficial
All the
part of
pulp
that
and
fruit.
everything that's in there.
juicer,
Yeah.
removes all the fibre. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah.
that,
But having it in a smoothie is a different story. I don't mind that so much. I think that can be a great way to get fruit into kids,
Yeah. What
especially.
about a ninja where you've got all the fibre still in there?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you've got
Yeah.
it all in there together, then that's different. And
Yeah.
then
But it's when you split the fibre away from the juice that
Yeah.
it concentrates the sugar too.
it
doesn't
concentrates the sugar and you're removing all the beneficial fiber, and that
Yeah.
fiber is acting on our hunger and fullness signals. So
Yeah.
that's what's telling us when to stop, and
Mhm.
we should listen to that. And when we remove that, we can easily overdo the sugar. So
Yeah.
but yeah, fresh fruit and vegetables are great. They don't always have to be fresh from the store. Like frozen is
Frozen is
absolutely
good.
safe
Yeah.
as well, and healthy, and sometimes better than the ones that you buy that you've left sitting in the fridge to go bendy. And you know, sometimes they've lost their nutritional value when
Yeah.
that happens. Like
Yeah.
you pull the carrot out and it's looking sad. If you've had it in the freezer and it's snap frozen at its best, that can actually be more nutritious in some
Yeah.
instances and save money, because
Yeah.
you know there's a lot of food waste that happens in Australia too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Beck. We really appreciate you
Thanks for having me.
Time
Thank
has flown.
I know.
Well, I've enjoyed it so much.
I can
Yeah.
talk about
I
can
We'll
talk
have to
about
get
this
you
all
to come
day.
back another time on another subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd
or
love
about
that.
anything else.
Yeah.
That'd be great. But thank you very much. And don't go away. We've got a special item that we're going to share with you now. Talk to our guests, that is, and to you too, Beck. But to all our guests online, stay with us. We'll be back in a minute. We're just going to share with you a musical item.
Be not dismayed when every time God will take care of you. Beneath His wings
That was a beautiful song, Corinne.
Now, did you like it?
I liked it.
I
Yeah,
chose
God
that.
will take care of it.
For sure.
you know.
And and I'm so thankful to you, Beck, for igniting that fire inside of us, because there's so much illnesses that's going around,
Mhm.
mental illness, physical illness, but knowing that we can take control, take the reins, and do something about it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
That gives us power, and I'm so thankful that you shared your knowledge with us tonight. And if you're watching, and if you're anything like me, and sometimes we do well and then we get back,
Mhm.
I would encourage you to go back into your healthy living.
Sometimes, Corinne, it's good to have somebody, a partner that's shared, like people have prayer partners and things like that, but you have somebody who can hold you accountable to check on you, see how you're going and things like that. How you said you slip back. That helps to avoid that slipping back. I've got a friend who's actually my boss, that he holds me accountable with exercise and stuff like that.
Oh,
and I
wow.
hold him accountable, and we challenge each other and go for a run and things like that. So having somebody like that really helps a lot,
For
especially
sure.
with diet. You can check your diet and stuff like that. But
Go for
But
lunchtime
folks-
walks.
sorry?
Lunchtime walks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
lunchtime
colleagues
walk,
and I,
yeah, we
we
do that.
go out and have a
Yeah.
lunchtime walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it happen, in other
Yeah,
words,
yeah.
isn't it?
So if
Yeah.
my boss watches this, we've got to have our lunchtime walks. But
Do you see
also,
what Lee's put?
Accountable
Well,
buddy.
but just folks, if you're really enjoying this and you benefited from the presentation today, don't forget to share the episode. I don't know how many Facebook friends you've got or whatever. Just share the episode with people that you know, so that other people can benefit from the knowledge that has been shared tonight.
Yeah. Thanks again, Beck.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Yes, it was beautiful to have you
Well,
here.
thank you very much, everyone. Until next time. Now, we may not have an episode in July. I'll be traveling and won't be here, but we're just going to confirm that, and we'll put it on Facebook and YouTube if we do have a July episode. Otherwise, it will be August the 8th.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.